alongside Brian Billick. I think you're Brian Billick.
You betcha.
I'm Tom Brenneman. Great to have you with us today. Championships are made in December, and both these teams are thinking about championships.
You know, when you live in the National Football League, you just want to be relevant in December. And this is a relevant game. Both teams are one step back from their division leads. As odd as that sounds for a 4-7 49er team, I'm not sure the loser today can make the playoffs. It's that tight a race. Now for San Francisco, they're all about running the ball. They took a big hit when they lost Frank Gore, but they got Brian Westbrook and Anthony Dixon to carry the load. And Green Bay, I'm not sure they have to run the ball to win today. Aaron Rodgers, that receiving group is outstanding, but they know if they want to get where they're going, they've got to develop a running game. James Starks may see his first Lambeau leap today.
And that's where we are, the spot of the great Lambeau leap. And as we take a look at some of the more famous leaps in Green Bay history, we send you to the Verizon Mobile Update. Back at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, a member of our crew, Tyson Wacklish, gives you a look at what Aaron Rodgers normally looks like. Tyson, the only member of our crew in good enough shape to do this. But the Packers today are wearing a third jersey, a recreation of the team's uniform in 1929 when they won their first ever world championship under Curly Lambeau. And Brian Billick, that brings us to our UPS logistics of the game.
Well, big matchup today. And for the San Francisco 49ers, it's about the old and the restless. They got to bring in Brian Westbrook, the veteran, with rookie Anthony Dixon to see if they can crank up the running game. And in Green Bay, what can Aaron do for you? As much as they want to run the ball, the fortunes of the Green Bay Packer rise and fall in the arm of Aaron Rodgers.
These logistics of the game have been delivered to you by UPS. Put the power of logistics to work for you at thenewlogistics.com. And we're back to Green Bay with the opening kickoff right after this.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Flyover just moments ago. High atop Lambeau Field. When you come here in December, you have to dress like Brian Billick was dressed just a short while ago. 25 degrees, not terribly cold. It's chilly, but not brutal like it was when we were here in December twice last year. Mike Singletary in his second full year as 49ers head coach. They finished 8-8 a year ago, and despite being 4-7 this year, you see they began the year at 0-5, but they've won 4 of their last 6, and thus only 1 game back in the NFC West. Meanwhile, for Mike McCarthy, in his 5th year as head coach of the Packers, has taken into the postseason 2 of the last 3 years. They've outscored their opposition by a whopping 103 points. And Brian, all 4 of their losses have come on a field goal.
Yeah, and late in the game. This is a resilient team. They need a win here badly at home.
Green Bay won the toss and deferred to get the ball in the second half. Taken at the 20 by Delaney Walker. And he is stopped at the 28-yard line. Troy Smith, the former Heisman Trophy winner out of Ohio State, spent his first 3 years in the league with Baltimore and took over as their starter in London against Denver on Halloween. And he's led them to a 3-1 record. Brian Westbrook for the injured Frank Gore, who suffered a hip fracture last week. He's out for the year.
2 first-round draft choices from last year on that line. Mike Upati at left guard and Anthony Davis at right tackle. Big part of this team's ability to run the ball.
With all of the problems that San Francisco has had offensively this year, they've been very good on their opening possession. We'll see if that continues against this very stingy Green Bay defense today. Smith looking down the field for Crabtree and overthrowing. Green Bay ranked #1 in scoring defense in the National Football League this season. They play the 3-4 under Dom Capers, Raji in the middle. Linebacking core led by Clay Matthews, who has 11.5 sacks. And what about the secondary?
Well, the big key is here. Who's going to match up with tight end Vernon Davis of the San Francisco 49ers? We may actually see Charles Woodson on the very gifted tight end.
away to the rookie runner Anthony Dixon, and he's wrapped up by Charlie Pepra. Dixon, who had 10 carries the entire year until Monday night. That's when Gore went down and Westbrook took over as the primary ball carrier. And Dixon carried it 14 times for 54 yards. Those are the numbers on their opening drives this year.
Well, they've got an excellent 1-2 punch with the big back Dixon, and then obviously with Westbrook coming in, can do so many things out of the backfield.
Four-man rush. Smith very athletic and connects with Crabtree inside the 30 down to the 27-yard line.
Cardinal sin by the Green Bay Packer defense. You're going to see Clay Matthews come off the edge here. He's thinking, I'm going to get me another sack in here, but he allows Troy Smith to get outside. That spin move right there. You let Troy Smith outside on third down, he's going to kill you either with his arms or with his legs.
Brian Billick, you drafted that young man out of Ohio State.
Talented young man, just needs to continue to mature in the NFL.
The 39-yard gain, and it's Westbrook's first carry of the afternoon, and he picks up 2.
You know, defensive coordinator, Dom Capers, is really going to throw a lot into the interior front seven of this defense. One, to try to confuse a young Troy Smith, but also to stop the running game. You got Dom Capers here. They believe they match up outside, but you put all those people in the box. Not only can it stop the run, but it can create some pressure packages for you.
Just out of the reach of Sambo, and a nice open field tackle made by the safety Pepra on the completion to Crabtree. It brings up another 3rd and long for the 49ers. Boy, Sambo just missed intercepting that pass.
And you know that the 49ers want to throw those types of plays to get the ball out of the hand of Troy Smith quickly. Good job scouting the film by the Packer defensive line, knowing, you know what, if I get my hands up quickly, they want to get a lot of 3-step drop passes out. They may get one of those yet.
Packers bringing the house, looking for Crabtree, who did not turn around. It didn't appear anyway in time. That looked like a pretty good spot to try and connect with Crabtree.
It did. I think Troy Smith had to get the ball out of his hands a little quicker when he wanted to. It's just this 7 route to the corner. You're going to see right here, Crabtree go to the corner, just needed some air under it, looked up, and all of a sudden the ball's out in front of him. Troy Smith would like to have waited to get that ball out of his hands.
Will be the first field goal try as a San Francisco 49er for the longtime Steeler Jeff Reed. Joe Nedney still out with an injured knee. From 44 yards away, and welcome to the 49ers, Jeff Reed. So success on San Francisco's opening possession continues. They jump in front, 3-0.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
49ers on the road, jump in front. Big play on that drive. A 39-yard pass completion from Troy Smith to Michael Crabtree, leading to the 44-yard field goal.
Well, they'd love to have come away with 7, but on the road to opening drive, come away with 3 points. The 49ers are feeling pretty good right now. We'll see if the Packers can respond.
Sam Shields, a rookie out of Miami. And a nice return for Shields up to the 35-yard line. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in these throwback unis from 1929. Get it in a moment.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Green Bay gets the football for the first time. 11:44 to go in the opening quarter, and the 49ers with a 3-0 lead. And they'll throw it on first down. Brandon Jackson. A gain of 11 on the first play from scrimmage. Aaron Rodgers just having another outstanding year. Hitting on 65% of his passes. You see what he's done the last 3 games. 75 for his last 100 with 8 touchdowns. Brandon Jackson will start it. We look for James Starks, the rookie out of Buffalo, to get a lot of carries today. And then up front,
yeah, this offensive line has to take some responsibility for the lack of running game. They've got to get it cranked up this month.
Short drop. Catch made on the far side of the field by Greg Jennings. Well, I beg your pardon. I think it was Jones over there on the reception. Hard to tell with these numbers today. Take a look at the defense of the 49ers. They've held up pretty well so far this year. Of course, their main man, Patrick Willis, the inside linebacker, in the 3-4.
Yeah, for the secondary, the key is who's going to match up with Vernon Davis, the gifted tight ends for the the wide receiver group. This secondary's got to match up with this receiver group across the board.
First career carry for James Starks, a 6th-round pick out of Buffalo. He missed his entire senior year with an injured shoulder, then injured his hamstring in May, and has been on the PUP list up until this week, and he might be a big factor when all is said and done this year.
Yeah, because they're going to need that presence. I talked about the offensive line. At some point, they've got to step up, take responsibility. They've got to become that physical offensive line that you need if you're going to run the ball well.
Third and 3. And the catch is made by Donald Driver. He's run out of bounds, but not before picking up a first down. It's been a very quiet year for Driver, who's been playing through a badly injured thigh. He has been their money man for better than a decade.
Yeah, and he emerged, obviously, when Jermichael Finley went down. This guy, obviously, he's their big play threat. He's the one that's going to get the big plays down the field, but they got a lot of other guys that they can go to. Makes it very difficult to find out where he's going to be in the formation.
See, recently, this high-octane offense has been pretty quiet on its first possession. And out of the backfield, Corey Hall, the catch. Picks up close to 10. And while we have a moment, let's check in with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles with Brett Favre news.
Yes, Minnesota hosting Buffalo. Favre back to pass. Gets hit by Arthur Moat, goes down. It is an interception courtesy of Drayton Florence, but more importantly, Favre injured his wrist. He's now out of the game. Tavares Jackson, quarterback in the Vikings. We'll update you later on. Tom, Brian?
Of course, a tightly bunched NFC North. Most figured Minnesota would be an integral part of that race, but it's a 2-team race now with Chicago and Green Bay. They're taking a look at the injured Nate Clements. We'll be back.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by The Tourist, starring Angelina Jolie and Johnny Depp, in theaters Friday, rated PG-13.
Nate Clements, 10-year veteran, been an outstanding player in this league for so many years, shaken up on the play. Appears to be all right. Terrell Brown replaces him on this 2nd down and a yard. Starks has enough for a first down.
Yeah, you're going to see up here Dwayne Clemens really can't see what the injury is as Nate Clemens, comes in and just kind of goes low. I don't know whether he got hit with the shoulder, maybe a rib shot. They need him back in the lineup. As spread out as this Green Bay offense could be with this large group of receivers, they can't afford to have Nate Clemens on the sideline too long.
First and 10 for Rodgers and the Packers at the Niners' 30-yard line. Quick throw to Jordy Nelson, and he's run out of bounds at the 22-yard line. A perfect start yet again for Aaron Rodgers. He's hit on 5 of his first 5 attempts.
Well, Aaron Rodgers knows how to keep his hands warm. He's got that little hand-warming pouch in front of him. You play up in here, you get used to every little trick. I don't know what he's got in there, but it's going to keep those hands warm because Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball 35, 40 times in any given game he plays.
Blown dead before it ever started.
Offside, unabated to the quarterback. Number 99 defense. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
That is the 12th offsides penalty this season by the 49er defense. The league average is 7.
You know, and that's just an automatic converted first down. Doesn't seem like a big deal when it's a second and short, but all of a sudden now you get that new set of downs inside the 20-yard line. When you're on the road, those kind of mistakes can be tough to overcome. Might be checking to a run here.
Yep, little delay to Jackson. He's inside the 10, very close to another Packer first down.
And what you're seeing is what Aaron Rodgers is seeing here. They were in a very loose zone. So when he gets up to the line of scrimmage, he's going to look and see how loose those linebackers are. He's seeing that the secondary's off. Any chance he has an opportunity to run the ball in the red zone with a loose zone defense, he's going to take advantage of it. See, now we're in a condensed area, but these guys get loose enough in here, they're going to try to get that run game cranked up. Empty backfield here.
Ninth play of the drive. Jones run out of bounds very close to the first down stick. Depending on the spot, we'll see if he has enough. He appears to be about a foot or two short, and I think that's what Aaron Rodgers was saying to James Jones. You got to know where that marker is.
It is, and now, because now, even though it's a 3rd and 1, you got to convert it, and we know we've talked about it for a good deal of time. Converting on 3rd down, that's being able to run the ball on a 3rd and short. The Packers have come up short on their fair amount of times on 3rd and 1.
Well, their inability to convert on 3rd and 1 twice cost the Packers at least 11 points in their loss to Atlanta last weekend. We're going to talk about it with 3rd and less than a yard coming up. 3rd and a yard upcoming for Green Bay.
Yeah, and you can see the chess game going on between Greg Minuski on the left and Mike McCarthy on the right. These two are very good friends. Were on the same staff together on the 49ers in 2005 and loved matching up against one another blow for blow.
2 tight ends, 3 backs. There are a whole pile of bodies. And John Kuhn. They're not booing, they're saying Kuhn who picks up the first down. A little bit of pushing and shoving going on. You see Nate Clements back in the game, mixing it up with Andrew Quarles.
Well, that was a formation right out of the 1929 playbook. I'd like to go with these uniforms. I hadn't seen that one for a while with the old triple back across the way, give it to one of any of the 3.
That was Green Bay's first world championship. Went 12-0-1 under Curly Lambeau. They've won 11 more since. First and goal. A wide open Donald Driver and a rare miss by Rodgers. Boy, showed you his numbers a moment ago in the red zone. They're just staggering.
No.
51 touchdowns against 2 interceptions.
You know what? You would have a tough time doing that at practice on air. Here we're just going to get a deep breath. This ball's way too flat right here. You can see it comes in on a little bit of a flat trajectory. If he could have kind of put the fall-away jumper on it, he might have had a touchdown.
Well played a drive. Showing up close to 7 minutes. And Aaron Rodgers has to spend a timeout just before that play clock runs out.
Timeout.
Well, when your quarterback's good in the red zone, your offense is good in the red zone.
And that's the key. That touchdown efficiency down here. It's why the Packers have been so good under Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. They're in a 5 wide receiver set. They got them all spread out. These are a lot of matchups right here for the 49er defense. For Aaron Rodgers, which one do you like best?
Well, Rodgers is such a good runner that it opens things up for a quarterback draw. He just has to throw this one away. Big Ray McDonald right in his face as he had to get rid of it.
And when you have no backs in the backfield, Tom, you got to know, as Aaron Rodgers does, if it doesn't present itself quickly, get the ball out of my hand, because there's just one less protector. I might get hit. I don't want to turn the ball over here.
Oh boy.
Down. 3rd down. 10-yard penalty.
They call Rodgers, much to his dismay, for intentional grounding there. Mike McCarthy couldn't believe it either.
Well, I got to have this one explained to me a little bit. I'm not quite sure what brought it unless he was outside the pocket. Let's look at it here. He's clear within the quarterback. Now he's moving outside. Wow, but he had, I don't know. I'm not quite. Someone's got to explain that one to me, because the ball went out of bounds. He had receivers there.
Cleared
the line of scrimmage. Right. I'm not quite clear about that one, to be honest with you.
Right, so now it's 3rd and goal from the 16. Jennings on the reception to the 12-yard line, but out comes the field goal unit for the Packers.
Huge stop for San Francisco. The one thing they don't want to do, Tom, is trade touchdowns for field goals. San Francisco drives length of field, kicks a field goal. Now Green Bay comes back. Had they gotten a touchdown, now you're behind the count. With this a field goal attempt, even if he makes it now, San Francisco's got to feel good about that exchange.
Mason Crosby, a 29-yard field goal try. And it's off the upright, no good. So you chew up well over half the quarter on your first drive, and you come away empty. Oh, goodness. Mason Crosby from inside 30 yards is well over 90% in his career, and now this.
Wow, that, and emotionally, that is so tough for a team. I mean, for San Francisco, they're fired up now. They've had this exchange. They're still up by 3 points. The last thing you want to do is inspire a team that comes in off the road like this for San Francisco. We're going to see if they can build on it here.
A 14-play drive, which ate up well over 7 minutes. But nothing on the board for the Packers. Troy Smith, play action, looking down the field. And now he'll keep it himself, breaks it back across the field, and he can run. And he picks up 10 up to the 31-yard line.
Well, this call right here, someone's going to have to explain to me. I think they just messed it up. Here you're going to see clear. The receivers come in here. They're working a cross combination here. Stop right there. It looks like it was supposed to be a quick screen, but there are 2 receivers here. I don't care if the ball was supposed to come out quick or not. The ball goes down the field. He stays in the quarterback pocket. I think the officials missed on that, and it cost the Packers.
Westbrook coming off an outstanding game against Arizona. Let's check in back in Los Angeles once again with Kurt Menefee.
Hosting the Bears, the Lions down to their 3rd-string quarterback, Drew Stanton, but hey, not making a difference so far. Stanton with a short touchdown run of 5 yards and a 7-0 lead for the Lions over the Bears. Tom, Brian?
Thank you, Kurt. Of course, that is big news for Green Bay fans. They're a game behind Chicago in the NFC North. Stanton, a former Michigan State Spartan star. Westbrook again, still on his feet, about a yard short of a first down. Westbrook, one of the most electrifying all-purpose weapons in the NFL over the last decade. In Philadelphia, joined the 49ers during the offseason as a free agent. He touched the ball 5 rushes, 5 receptions, a total of 10 times in the first 8 weeks of the year. And then after Gore got hurt, he carried it 23 times for 136 yards and a touchdown Monday night.
And you could tell the excitement on his voice yesterday when we talked with him, Tom. He's excited about getting this chance to carry the ball.
30 yard, and they're going to throw it. Well, you got to wonder about the play call there. The strength of the 49er offense is running the football, and they throw it on 3rd and a yard.
And it wasn't even a vertical shot. If you're going to throw to just get the first down on a 3rd and 1, if you're going to take that shot, why not go vertical with it? I'm with you there. The strength of this 49er team is to run the ball. You've got a little bit of momentum here. Now you've got to kick it back to the Packers.
Andy Lee, 2-time Pro Bowl punter, has it rolling, and it dribbles into the end zone. 61-yard punt by Lee. Well, coming up on our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, America's Game of the Week, the Cowboys take on the Colts in Indianapolis. Some other regional action, the Panthers and the Seahawks, a big one down in Tampa. The Falcons and the Buccaneers. That comes your way right here on Fox. Check local listings for the game in your area.
Well, we loved what we saw in the Falcons last week against these Packers, but you know what? You can't help but love the Buccaneers. The way they've got Josh Freeman, the way he stepped up. This is an exciting team. I don't know if they're good enough to get into the playoffs, but this is going to be a good game.
Well, the Packers get it back with 2:10 to play in the opening quarter, and down goes Rodgers. Sopoaga was there, so too is Justin Smith. Some of the games with playoff implications, and certainly as they affect the two teams in our game today. Told you about Detroit out in front of the Bears 7-0, and then later Carolina in Seattle, St. Louis in Arizona. 49ers at 4-7, but only a game out of first. There is not a team at 500 or better in the NFC West. Brandon Jackson wrapped up by Takeo Spikes. Very short gain. It brings up 3rd and 8 for Green Bay.
And we just saw a nice long drive by the Packers. We've seen a number of short drop-off passes by Aaron Rodgers. That's the other thing that's missing a little bit from Green Bay's arsenal right now is that big play down the field. Most of it, in all fairness, is people are getting very passive. We're not going to give you that big play. Can you go 10, 12 plays to score? Well, the Packers, for the most part, can.
Ball to 3rd down and 9. Penalty flag on the field, and it's incomplete on the pass attempt to Donald Driver. But again, a flag is down.
Flag on the play. Illegal formation, number 76, was not on the line of scrimmage. Penalties declined. 4th out.
That's a left tackle, Chad Clifton.
Yeah, and your shoulders, your head has to break the plane of the center here. Normally they'll warn you on this the first time. They likely may have just a little bit deep for the officials. They're always looking for where are the shoulders and does my head break the plane of the center.
From Mastay to punt it away. And Ted Ginn Jr., always dangerous, waits back, short punt. Ginn comes up to get it. And Ginn, a good return to the 45. Ball is loose. There is a flag back. I believe they said that Ginn was down. Ginn is already down at the 45. But again, a flag back at the line of scrimmage.
The runner was down by contact. We have a foul on the play.
Bill Levy, our referee today.
Illegal formation. Number 53 of the kicking team was not on the line of scrimmage. The 5-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the run. 1st out.
So that will put the ball at the Green Bay 40-yard line after the penalty. Hey, while we have a moment, Brian, we always love to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching our telecast in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. We thank all of you for all you do for our great country. We hope you're enjoying the telecast, and may God bless you all.
You know, Tom, you brought up earlier about the mental state of the Green Bay Packers playing a 4-7 49er team. We're seeing some things that concern me as a coach. A mishap in the end zone, a couple procedure penalties here on the third down play and on the punt. Some things are going on for the Packers right now that have got to concern Mike McCarthy.
Troy Smith back under center. And a quick throw to Delaney Walker, and he picks up 5 on first down and limps around off the sideline. Walker has been Troy Smith's favorite target since Smith took over as a starter, and now Walker has to sit down. Well, they can ill afford to lose him.
Boy, that would be a big loss. They found a nice rhythm with their 2 tight end offense with Delaney Walker and Vernon Davis. Gives you both a good running and passing presence. This would be a big loss for the 49ers.
Well, he looks like he's in a lot of pain over there.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's the knee or the ankle, but it's not good. And you can see Walker working the outside here. Just comes down on it. Looks like he's fine there. And as he's going down, something happened there in that last little bit, whether it was a rolled up ankle, maybe a calf, can't tell at this point, because he continues on to the sideline. That little roll right there. Delaney Walker, probably the only tight end in the National Football League that returns kicks. It's hard for me to get used to seeing him back there.
Well, let's update you what's going on in Detroit inside the NFC North. Chicago has tied that game in the final seconds of the opening quarter. We're in the final seconds of the opening quarter here, where the 49ers have a 3-0 lead. Second down at the Green Bay 34-yard line. Slant, good throw, good catch made by Crabtree, and that's a first down on what will be the final play of the opening quarter. And for Smith and the Niners, they got to feel pretty good about things on the road. Leading 3-0. Fox NFL Sunday continues after these messages. San Francisco at the end of the opening quarter. You look inside some of the numbers with a 3-0 lead, but Brian Billick, they have to feel very good about the way things have gone through the front 15 minutes.
They have. If you'd have told Mike Singletary he was going to be up by 3 at the end of the first quarter, he'd have taken it.
All right, so first down at the Green Bay 27-yard line. Smith to throw it. Somehow got it away, and what a catch made. And then shot down inside the 5 is the tight end Vernon Davis.
Well, Vernon Davis is their best receiver. This is just on a wing and a prayer. You can see them stacked up here. Vernon Davis going to work back to the outside. And I don't know how Troy Smith got this off, but Vernon Davis, the fastest player on this 49er squad. Great catch by the athletic tight end.
25-yard gain. It's first and goal at the 2-yard line. They give it to Anthony Dixon, and he's bottled up at the line of scrimmage. Second and goal.
This is the one thing that the 49ers, as they bunch everybody up, I don't know that they have that really big outside receiver when you get everybody in there to stop the run. Your favorite play, the fade play on the outside. Crabtree can go up and get the ball, but the best thing for them to do is to shift Vernon Davis out there if they want to get that, but that's a bit of a tell. Right now they're configured, this has got run or play action corner all the way.
Smith escapes trouble, but finally is run down by Cullen Jenkins back to the 10-yard line. Now the question is, did the football come loose? There's still a lot of pushing and shoving and wrestling going on at the bottom of that pile. Looked like Daryl Jenkins, the umpire, also tumbled with that pile.
Yeah, this is where the young quarterback's got to learn. Just the play action pass I was talking about. He gets outside. And then at this point, once you realize they're all around, just get rid of the ball. Right now, all right, the play is dead. Get rid of the ball. Now you've taken your team back to the 10-yard line. This is where the young man, and Aaron Rodgers, the efficiency we talked about, he likely would have gotten that ball thrown out up to about the 5th row, 6th row of the bleachers.
And been called for grounding.
And then called for grounding incorrectly.
All right, 3rd and goal from the 10. Smith tackled at the 8-yard line by the duo of Zombo and Raji. So after having 1st and goal at the 2, they lose 6 yards thereafter, and here comes the field goal unit led by Jeff Reed.
Yeah, and this is a Dom Capers coach defense. Is the last group I want to see if I get pushed back off the 1-yard line, 10 yards, a lot going on, a lot to figure out. Troy Smith having to hold on to the ball. Missed opportunity to come away with 7, make it a 10-point lead.
26-yard attempt by Reed, who hit his first field goal try as a 49er, and now he's 2 out of 2. Still legitimate question, though, about the play calling here.
Oh, I agree.
Strength is running.
Absolutely. We saw it on a 3rd and 1, and we saw it there as well.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Triple Hops Brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness. By Autotrader.com. Now compare new and used cars side by side at Autotrader.com. And by Prilosec OTC. Heartburn gone, power on.
49ers take advantage of a short field after Green Bay punted from its own end zone, but had 1st and goal at the 2-yard line and only come up with 3.
Yeah, like I said, you can't trade field goals for touchdowns against a team that's potentially as explosive as the Green Bay Packers. But as of yet, the Packers haven't taken advantage of that. They need a good long drive here for 7 points.
Very short kick by Reed, and then Shields bobbles it at the 17-yard line and tries to break it to the outside. Flag comes in from about the middle of the field. Good recovery there by Shields, but it might be coming back.
Yeah, so often when that kind of fumbling around and then you break it back outside, all of a sudden you're coming out at a different angle than your blockers are prepared for.
During the return, holding, number 24, receiving team, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's Jared Bush. So things have not gone well for the Pack, but they're only down 6-0. Green Bay gets the football after the penalty from its own 15-yard line, and Fox Sports is so proud to support St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, where they're doing wonderful work every day to help kids battle cancer. Please join us in the fight and donate now at stjude.org/foxsports. Rodgers sacked for the 2nd time in a game. Ahmad Brooks, who had 6 of them a year ago, gets his 3rd this year.
Yeah, and this is just a simple 4-man rush. You're going to see it in here coming off these edges. This is a long time for Aaron Rodgers to be holding the ball. He knew he was going to have to drop it off with these zone defenses that he's seeing. But right here, the ball's just got to come out. That's a long time for the offensive line to hold him out.
Loss of 7 brings up 2nd down and 17. Saw Detroit has gone back up in front of Chicago 10-7. Rodgers will run it, and he can run it. He's up to the 17-yard line. 3rd down upcoming. Let's check in once again with Kurt back in L.A.
Well, the New Orleans Saints may be straightening out their game right now, going for a 5th consecutive win, facing the Bengals, who have lost 8 in a row. Chris Ivory, 55-yard touchdown run for the undrafted free agent out of Tiffin University. It's 10-0 New Orleans. Tom and Brian?
And interesting to note, Kurt Tiffin is in Ohio, so Ivory having a big game of it in the Buckeye State today. Third down and 9. Rodgers looking down the field, and it's broken up by Nate Clements. They had an eye on Jones, and he had to step on Clements.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say broken up by Clemens. It hit him on the top of the head. Nice job trailing you here. You can see just right off the top of the head. He's got to be careful about getting his arms up too early, because then they'll call him for pass interference. Kind of lucked up on that one. But I tell you right now, the Packers, this does not have a good field. There's not a lot of efficiency. They're making mistakes. Mike McCarthy's got to do something to shock his team back into performance.
Ted Ginn Jr. backs up at the 33, and look out. Ginn a step away from breaking off a long one. But the 49ers start a second straight possession inside Green Bay territory.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Gulliver's Travels. Christmas only in theaters.
And Rodgers and the Packers offensively had a long drive, their first possession of the game, missed a field goal on a chip shot, and very, very quiet ever since. After a 3 and out, Troy Smith and the Niners begin this drive at the Green Bay 48, an early movement on the left side.
False start, number 65, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Barry Sims, who continues to replace the injured Joe Staley, who broke his fibula. He'll be out a while.
Yeah, and that's a big loss. You're talking about across the board, 3 first-round draft choices and 2 second rounds when you have Staley back in. They've committed to this offensive line, and it's a good young offensive line, not having Staley in hurts.
Delaney Walker, by the way, was checked back into the game for the first time since leaving with an injury in the opening quarter. Ryan Westbrook still on his feet, picks up maybe 2.
The defense is playing well, but head coach Mike McCarthy, he's got to be scratching his head right now. He's got to find something. They can march the length of the field. He knows right now Greg Minuski's going to be very passive. So he's got to know, I'm not going to force the ball down the field, but I've got to find some efficiency in the underneath passing game, and I've got to be able to run the ball. If they're going to be that passive, I want to get the running game cranked up, I got to press the run.
Second and 13, Smith looking around and nearly intercepted by Tramon Williams. Williams just signed a 4-year contract extension earlier in the week, making him the 4th highest paid Green Bay Packer.
You can see it on the outside, the matchup right here. A little bit of a play fake, then he comes back out of it. They're trying to okey-doke him with the play fake. Troy Smith, not a real clear path to it. Right now, Troy Smith is a quarterback that can throw what he sees as opposed to anticipating where he needs to put the ball.
Smith wants a timeout. First timeout spent by the 49ers in this opening half. Brian Billick, I want to go back to Troy Smith, because you were the head coach in Baltimore when Smith, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback out of Ohio State, continued to drift and drift and drift and drift as you got through the first handful of rounds in the draft. What did you think about him at the time, and what do you think of the progress he's made since then?
Well, he's a gifted athlete, and he's one of the most charismatic players I've ever been around. You know, he was that way at Ohio State, got the Heisman Trophy, and remember now, I had some pretty charismatic players on my team with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, yet they responded to this guy. He's obviously a gifted athlete. The key for Troy right now, he's not particularly efficient or accurate. He's got to find that. He's a big, strong-armed quarterback that too often just relies on that raw ability. He's got to develop that nuance. Most importantly, the accuracy. He's got a chance to be a good football player. He's got to develop the accuracy.
Only a 3-man rush. And Smith is thrown to the deck again by Cullen Jenkins. For only a three-man rush, that pocket broke down right quick.
And that's what I'm talking about, a quarterback like Troy Smith, where it's so important to see what he wants to throw. They played such a passive zone, took away all the passing lanes. You can see just the three-man rush coming off the edge. And right now, he can't anticipate or see where he needs to drop it. His instinct is to pull it down very quickly and take off with it, even though it was only a three-man rush.
That's a good defensive stand there by the Packers. So the punt by Lee and Williams. Pretty nice return. Still on his feet. Across the 20 up to the 21. 9:24 until halftime. 3-0 went to 6-0 here in the second quarter. Terrell Brown, the Niners nickelback, lift off the field, and they're taking a look at his right knee, it appears.
And it's hard to see. He's just down the field, and it just kind of buckles on him. He really doesn't get tied up with anybody. Chicken fighting here. And just kind of steps on it wrong right there. Hard to see where it pulled up.
James Starks, the rookie out of Buffalo, running hard up to the 31-yard line. I told you, Brian, had a chance to see this young man play a couple of times in college. The first 3 years of his collegiate career, there weren't 5 guys in the country that had better numbers than James Starks before he lost his entire senior year due to the injured shoulder.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of an upright running style, but so did Eddie George, so did Robert Smith, so that doesn't kill the guy. Doesn't have the speed of a Robert Smith, but he could be a great addition for Green Bay here. Again, look to be checking to another run the way San Francisco's getting loose in their coverage.
Yep, Starks picking his spots, and that's a first down. Up to the 34.
Yeah, you know, we had an interesting conversation with Aaron Rodgers. Let me back up here. Yep, they're going into the no huddle. We saw this last week, Tom, against Atlanta when they really wanted to change things up. We said, what's Mike McCarthy going to do to get his team going? Well, it's to go to the no huddle right now.
They broke it out for the first time all year long, and they scored on both the drives, which they went with the no huddle. A touchdown on one, a field goal on the other.
Encroachment, number 92 defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
You know, the Green Bay Packers wanted to run a lot more no huddle. They spent a lot of time in it in training camp, and then the rash of injuries started to come. And all of a sudden, these guys, not the least of which is the offensive line with Tauscher, your tight end, your Michael Finley, your #1 running back. So they kind of put it on the back burner. They feel like they got the guys back in a rhythm now to where they can get back to using the no huddle.
Well, those are some big names.
Yeah, and they've done a great job supplementing it with not having those guys.
Blitz coming. And Rodgers has to throw it away.
Well, they're talking about possibly intentional grounding, but he's in the pocket here. There was nobody on the outside.
Well, I got to tell you, to not call it there,
yeah,
to have called it earlier.
Yeah, they just made a mistake earlier, clearly. But this is the way it's supposed to happen. The guy down the field doesn't know where the quarterback is. You can see here, stop right here if you can. He stays in the quarterback pocket, and he's not outside the pocket, changes the rules. That was the right call. They simply conferred with one another and got it right.
They get it to Donald Driver, and he's tripped up, it appears, about a yard short of a first down. Aaron Rodgers has now gone 161 consecutive passes without throwing an interception, and that is the longest such streak of his career.
Here they are back with the no huddle, with a quick, almost sugar huddle at the line as opposed to a no huddle.
Free play, and Rodgers going to try the home run ball. Why not? And connects. And into the end zone is Greg Jennings for a touchdown.
Offside, number 55 defense. Penalties decline, touchdown.
The play will stand. And Brian, here's where you were wearing that hat earlier.
Oh, baby, he went to the Lambeau Leap. You know, it's amazing what you can do when you're playing with house money. Aaron Rodgers, the veteran that he is, he knew he got a freebie there. Put the ball up. He was fearless at that point because there was no downside to it. The no huddle and the way they've gone to it disrupts the defense. When you do it as casually as the Packers do, we've seen two offsides by the defense against the no huddle.
Point after is good by Crosby. 38th career touchdown reception to Jennings, which has spanned 40 or more yards.
Well, you're going to see him jump right here in the interior of the defensive line, and right here, once they make the movement, right now, Aaron Rodgers knows I've got him. I can put this thing up as high as I want. There's no downside to this. Look at the air he puts on this thing. A deep pass is all about timing and rhythm. It has nothing to do with a strong arm. Huge, big play. Now he's back up into the stands. I wonder if he found that hat that I had.
I want to ask you.
Hey,
take a look at that hat.
That's a good look, man. That's a good look. I expect to be on GQ this month with a look like that.
Or perhaps on some local cable access channel.
Right. Doing the Muskie report up in Lake Okoboji. Boy, this is just what the Packers needed. This stadium is even cranked up a little bit.
You know, I got to ask you, did you buy that hat or did you borrow that hat?
Oh, we got just the guy, Wyatt, our man Wyatt here from the Green Bay area. He's got drawers and drawers of hats like that. One's not enough. There's our man Wyatt. I appreciate it, man. Appreciated the hat. I may keep that hat because we may be back here.
And to give you an idea, I mean, Wyatt, you know, he had to go around to some of the neighbors and get some of the local attire that you need for this kind of weather this time of year. He brought it all down to the stadium today.
He didn't have to go very far.
No,
just the house either side.
That's exactly right. Ball blew off the tee. That's like something out of a Charlie Brown Christmas.
You love the atmosphere up here, you know, just the people. You want the tailgaters. We came by the stadium yesterday. They're already in the parking lot scoping out their tailgating spots just for the next day. This is a great place to be.
And you had quite the journey to get here. You ended up getting snowed in. Your connection from Minneapolis.
Drive in from Minneapolis, and we had, what, 2 feet of snow in Minneapolis. My friends, the Allens, drove me all the way in. It was a great drive, but still, it was 5 hours in a car.
See, the rest of us have to drive ourselves. You have friends that just drive you.
That's right. Good friends.
Ted Ginn Jr. flag down. Real good return by Ginn. But again, it might be coming back.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 27, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Yeah, you read that. That's just not a good penalty there. The guy clearly behind him. This has been. We got some energy going in the building now, Tom. We didn't have this the whole first quarter. I think the fans kind of thought, well, this is 4-7 49ers. We're in good shape, but we got some energy going in this building now.
See, I got to tell you, I don't know about you at home. I think Brian looks much better with that hat on.
Anything to cover this up, right? I need that kind of hat.
Well, normally when we get out, you like to wear a beret, which is also a very good look for you.
Very stylish.
Yes, yes.
Very stylish. That wouldn't have gone big in Green Bay. I would never make it to the airport with a beret on.
Balling down after getting a handoff is Anthony Dixon. And he loses a couple of yards.
Tom, I'm always talking about the emotion of this game. And what 2 minutes ago we're talking about, boy, the Packers are sluggish and they're making mistakes. Mike McCarthy's got to do something. A switch has been flipped. We're seeing the 49ers, a holding penalty. They're falling down out of stance. There's energy in this building. There's energy on the Packers sideline now.
Second down and 12. Dixon having a hard time staying on his feet. It brings up 3rd and long for Smith and the 49ers as we close in on 6 minutes to play until halftime.
Well, the 49ers want to play this tightly orchestrated game, play good defense, run the ball, minimize the throw of their young quarterback, Troy Smith. But with that big play, Mike Singletary knows the equation has changed. San Francisco's got to come up with a big play. Maybe not specifically here on third down, but they're going to bleed to death slowly if they don't change the emotion of this game.
Open Michael Crabtree and just overthrew him, so it's 3 and out, and the Niners have to punt from their own end zone.
Well, Troy Smith again. Now this guy is a gifted athlete, but his accuracy down the field, that's the big challenge for Troy. Flat, hard ball. You've got to find that ability to just drop that ball in the hole just over the top of the linebackers. That's the next challenge for Troy Smith.
Andy Lee sends Williams back to his own 47. He's trying to turn it back the other way and ends up basically where he caught it, right at midfield. Well, it's the first ever American Country Awards, hosted by Trace Adkins, with over 15 performances from country music's biggest stars. The only country music awards show where you vote for the winner. The American Country Awards live tomorrow, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, only on Fox. Wonder if George Strait will be a part of that.
Oh, maybe. Whole bunch of somebody done somebody wrong songs.
All right, so now with 5:13 to play, Green Bay has 1 timeout remaining and looking to add to a 7-6 lead before the half.
Another one of those 1929 formations.
Starks for 3.
You know, you're a gunner on the punt team now. You're going to get beat up a dozen ways to Sunday. Inside, outside, you just got to fight. The only solace you can draw is that there's 2 of you and 1 of me. Somebody else has got to make the play because you're beating me up.
Brett Swain and Jared Bush working him over. Starks again. This time of the 41, some extra shoving going on the far side of the field, involving Shante Spencer and Donald Driver. That's Greg Jennings, I beg your pardon, and Spencer clearly unhappy.
And this is part of maintaining the rhythm of an offense offensively. You don't want to get drawn into that stuff right now because it's going to cost the Packers.
See the numbers this season on Aaron Rodgers.
Got to run the ball here.
Yep. Tune for a first down. You know, you go back to that game against Atlanta last week. Their running backs, we're going to take away the outstanding running of the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. But their running backs carried it 11 times for a grand total of 26 yards. And we talked about their inability to convert on 3rd and 1 a couple of times. It really cost him the ball game.
And Aaron Rodgers, with the way this game goes and the efficiency he has throwing the ball underneath, you're going to be in a lot of convertible 3rd downs. So that ability to run the ball, Mike McCarthy wants to run the ball, make no mistake, doing everything he can. They just haven't had that rhythm yet. Boy, Aaron Rodgers doing something with the snap count. Let's see if they get the Packers this time. A lot of finger pointing going on. No, he did it. No, I did it. He called it. Bill Levy will tell us.
False start, number 12, offense. He is not protected for the defensive end coming in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty,
and
first down.
It can be as subtle as an inflection, a head nod, a jerk of an arms right here. Let's see what Aaron Rodgers does. Watch his arms right here. Watch the head nod. Yeah, just that little lean right there, that little step back there. I don't know if what drew it before that. That step back that drew the second action, that had to be it. I didn't see the head bob. I didn't see the arm stiffen. He's pretty good at it, though. He's pretty subtle. He learned from a good one, Brett Favre.
Gain of maybe a yard on the reception by Jennings.
Great timing on that. I want you to watch Aaron Rodgers. He gets to the top of his drop right here. He's obviously in gun. Watch how quickly the ball comes out. And that thing's gone before. Look at the receiver. You can barely see it, but right now, that ball's halfway there before he even came out of it. That's that subtlety between a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers and a group of receivers he's been with for a while. That really is why this is one of the best of passing attacks in the National Football League.
So they're a yard off the original line of scrimmage before the penalty. And they come back with a screen to Brandon Jackson. Inside the 10. Inside the 5.
Nice job screaming by the Green Bay Packers. Gets them down to the goal line.
And it gets us to the 2-minute warning.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
1:53 to play until halftime. First and goal at the 1. And they give it to Kuhn. He's sniffing that goal line, and no signal given for a touchdown yet. That's because he didn't get there. Oh, now! How in the world can it wait that long to be signaled a touchdown?
Boy, we're going to find out. The official, they check with one another. You're going to see here, this is just a plunge right into here. And I want you to watch the officials come screaming in from the top. This is just massive bodies. Now you're going to see the officials. He'll come running down from here. The other guy will run from here. They'll check with one another. They've got to confer. Is there possession? Did he break the plane? Why it took so long, I don't know. It usually is a bang-bang process, to use a Mike Pereira term. Either way, it's a touchdown.
The field judge, Jim Corker, came into your vision there right along the line of scrimmage, did not signal the touchdown. But it's a score for Kuhn.
Mike Singletary wants to know, can I challenge this? Well, and he wants to know why it took so long to signal as well.
Point after is good. A 1-yard rushing touchdown, second of the year for Kuhn, but of course the screen to Brandon Jackson was the foundation.
I want you to watch the left guard here, Darren College, on a well-executed screen. Rodgers looks to the right, and then College out in front of the screen. Nice job pushing to the outside. Johnson cutting back inside. That is their running game as of right now. That's what they have to rely on, the same as a draw or a trap. And then the 1 yard inside. Nothing we can see here to indicate he didn't get in, just a mass push of bodies. I don't know why it took so long, but now he gets the Lambeau leap.
That's now where you were.
That's going to be my corner from here on out. I tell you what, those people, for me being an 8-year Viking fan, they were very gracious to let me hang in that end zone for them for a while.
You'd have thought the Senators showed up when you walked down there today.
That's right. They're very forgiving of me here.
Of course, the crew wasn't very forgiving because we had been standing out there waiting on you for about 10 minutes.
I'm just a diva, you know that. Kuhn's their big back. They love Kuhn here. He's the guy that they need that punishing yard. They're going to put him in. Amazing how this has totally turned Green Bay's way now. Mike Singletary, we talked about what does Mike McCarthy have to do. Mike Singletary has to do something, get his troops back online here. They need to come up with a big play. I'm not sure they can orchestrate long drives to move down the field.
Very short kick, and again, it's Delaney Walker who brings it back. Pretty good field position. With 1:40 to play until halftime, and coming up on the Visa halftime report, Eric, Terry, Howard, Michael, and Jimmy will update you on what's going on in Detroit between the Bears and the Lions. And a big one in the NFC East. Giants have opened an early lead over Washington.
Well, we're going to find out what Mike Singletary and offensive coordinator Mike Johnson think of Troy Smith right here. Because if you're going to stay up in the NFC West, if you're going to stay within that game of the leaders, you got to turn it over to him and see if he can make some plays here. You got a minute 46 seconds with 2 timeouts.
Smith just throwed it into the ground.
Well, he was trying to throw a screen, and it wasn't there. That's not a flag. They had a screen there. He dirted it, but that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Nice, safe call, but I don't know that that's going to get you down the field. They've got to let Troy Smith see if he can make that throw down the field. You don't want to be careless, but that's part of the development of a quarterback. With a minute 36 left, are you smart enough not to force the ball in?
Nice throw there. And Vernon Davis will go the distance for a touchdown. How about that?
Did we say big play? Did we say they need a big play? Vernon Davis, as I said, maybe the fastest 49er on the field. Obviously had to be a broken coverage. This is a great throw and catch. You're going to see Vernon Davis come out of the slot. Oh, excuse me, I'm one off up into here, way inside. He's going to cross the field. Nice job climbing the pocket. He's in behind the linebackers. Kind of a flat high throw. That's a great grab by a great athlete. And once again, the emotional screw turns. All of a sudden, this place got real quiet.
So the point after to bring it to a 1-point game is good by Reed. My, oh my, as quiet as San Francisco was throwing the football throughout the entire afternoon outside of a couple of plays and a miss.
And look how flat that throw is. That's what we've seen out of Troy Smith, but it was obviously just high enough for Vernon Davis to grab. This guy is one of 2 tight ends that have been taken in its first 10 picks of the draft. Kellen Winslow Jr., the other one now with Tampa Bay. You want a tight end of this caliber, of this speed, of this athleticism, you got to take him high in the draft.
Of course, Vernon Davis has been so quiet since Troy Smith became the quarterback. I mean, you're talking about a young man who is among the best receivers, period. Obviously, he's a tight end, but I mean, take a look at this, tied for the most touchdown receptions among all wideouts in the NFL.
And in fairness, when you look at the film, these other teams know Vernon Davis is pretty good. They'll roll coverage, they'll bracket him, they'll put guys over the top, jam him at the line. So rather than force the ball in, Delaney Walker's come up big the last couple weeks with Troy Smith. But at some point, you gotta go to your top dog, and that's clearly Vernon Davis. Couldn't have done it at a better time because it yanked, obviously, the emotional ebb and flow of this game right back to the 49ers.
Ball blown off the tee as Reed approached it. Well, now Green Bay has 1 timeout remaining and a minute 26 to play and a half.
And they won't hesitate with Aaron Rodgers to try to move this thing down the field. The energy that this gives the San Francisco 49ers going into the locker room, notwithstanding giving up a big drive by the Green Bay Packers, is huge on the road.
First decent kick of the game so far by Reed. It's Sam Shields. Guy's a dangerous return man. And a nice return indeed. Across the 35-yard line, run out of bounds. Just short of the 40.
It's a great field position to start this drive with Aaron Rodgers. A minute 19. You got a timeout here. That's all. You want to hold on to that one for as long as you can in case you need to bring your field goal team in. Gives yourselves all the options on a 3rd down play. But this is right down in the wheelhouse of Aaron Rodgers. He'll spread him out here, orchestrate him at the line.
They said Shields steps out of bounds at the 34. That's where they'll spot it. Pump fake. And just out of the reach of James Jones.
Wow. Wow, that was about ready to go the distance. Again, Aaron Rodgers just a little flat on the throw. And when I talk about that, that's got to be very accurate when you throw a ball that flat. When you don't give a receiver a whole lot of time to run underneath the ball, looks like he kind of got faded away, caught in a tough physical position. That would have been huge for them.
Packers wearing their throwback uniforms to their first World Championship team in 1929. And thrown behind the intended target. Couple of guys there in the area code, including Corliss, a tight end. Donald Driver also there. Take a look at Detroit, Brian Billick. They scored a touchdown just before halftime.
Detroit's right on the verge. They're at home. Boy, it would be huge for them to get a home win by Chicago. How about this? Buffalo and Minnesota, Tavares Jackson. You don't think things are going to get stirred up in Minneapolis this week over that one?
All 31 points while Jackson took over for the injured Brett Favre very early in that game. Rodgers going to take a shot. Why not? It's caught by Jones, but the play was dead. And Rodgers is wondering why, especially if this is against the defense.
Boy, it's got to be against the offense if they're going to blow it dead, unless they thought it was unabated to the quarterback.
The play was whistled dead. Neutral zone infraction.
Oh, boy.
Against the defense.
Wow.
Came in the neutral zone, caused an offensive man to false start. 5 yards, third down.
Wow. Boy, that's too big. You can see here, obviously, if it's not offensive procedure, they violated it right there. That should have been a freebie like we saw on the first touchdown throw by Aaron Rodgers. That's two big mistakes by the officials in this game. Both have hurt the Packers. That's one of those, sorry, coach, didn't mean to do that. Ooh, boy, sometimes you just can't buy it, Mike McCarthy's thinking.
All right, third down and 5. I think the official thought that Aaron Rodgers was calling a timeout. And that's why Bill Levy blew it dead. Aaron Rodgers said, no, no, no. All right, so here we go, third and 5. Rodgers across the middle. And through the hands of the intended receiver is tight end Corliss. Well, now Green Bay will punt. The Niners still have 2 timeouts left. And they'll get it with right around a minute to play until halftime.
You couldn't ask for better field position. They end up with basically a 3 and out here. And you're right, now San Francisco has a chance to, with plenty of time and 2 timeouts. That's like having over 2 minutes in the game with those two timeouts in your back pocket.
Terrible punt. And Gibbs going to let it roll. I think they've seen enough of Ted Ginn Jr. already today.
And basically, when you have the extra timeouts, you can see here with San Francisco, your ability to stop the clock, even with you want to keep the one in your back pocket, that's like adding another 25 to 40 seconds based on how you want to use it. So this is huge with 53 seconds and 2 timeouts. That's all the time you need.
All right, but let me ask you. You talked about the inexperience. We know about, less than 10 starts in the National Football League for Troy Smith. Do you want to put it on him again with a minute?
Not at 14-13. When it was 14-6, maybe. But now you've got it within reach. Now you've got to be a little more prudent about what you do, and they do with the little draw trap.
And it might change your line of thinking after that.
Now you got a little more space.
And it's a timeout. So Westbrook gains 11 on the carry. A 30-second timeout called by the 49ers. They have 1 left until halftime. And coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, again, we'll update you on what's going on in Detroit between the Bears and the Lions. And a rout going on between the Redskins and the Giants. This NFC playoff picture, Brian, is going to be fascinating as we head down the final month of the season. There's more than just a slight chance that a 10-team win in the NFC will not make the postseason.
And that a 11-5 or 12-4 wild card team is going to have to go on the road to maybe an 8-8 NFC West division winner. Maybe 8-8. God forbid a 7-9.
Well, they'll stay on the ground, and again, it's Westbrook. So even after spending the timeout, you thought perhaps they might take a shot.
Yeah, I don't understand that. If you're just going to run the ball, then why take the timeout? If that, you know, in that case, go ahead and kill the clock, keep the timeout, take the shot down the field, or don't use the timeout and go ahead and let it around. And I would understand that. I would understand them not wanting to take a risk. They've gotten it back into a manageable game, a 1-point differential, but the two together, I'm not sure about that.
Well, final 14 seconds of the half. Smith and shotgun. They have to get off one more play. And they're going to run it. So if you are the San Francisco 49ers, you have to feel very good about where you are on the road today in Green Bay, down a point. So we're at halftime. 14-13 Packers. Fox NFL Sunday continues with the Visa halftime report after these messages. A big surprise here at halftime at Lambeau Field, where the Packers have a 1-point lead over the visiting 49ers. Coming up, our Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, America's Game of the Week. Most of you will see the Dallas Cowboys take on Peyton Manning and the Colts, who try and keep pace in the AFC South. America's Game of the Week coming up next. Check the local listings for the game in your area. Greg Jennings, a big one for Green Bay. And in the final 2 minutes, a big one to Vernon Davis to bring the 49ers within one. 14-13 Green Bay in front. Just about set to begin the second half. We invite you to follow your favorite team all season long by going to iTunes.com/NFL. All right, Brian Billick, let's put on your coaching hat here at halftime. If you're Mike McCarthy, what are you saying to your team?
Well, they get the ball first, and San Francisco, notwithstanding a big play, isn't going to let them get down the field that way. You're going to have to be efficient. You can't have the penalties that we've seen. You got to have a little more efficiency than what we saw, a little bit more focus than we saw in the first half.
All right, what about for Mike Singletary's team?
Well, he's right where he wants to be, within 1 point at the half, but how do they get back into it, Tom, with the big play? I think they're going to have to come up with more big plays.
All right, let's go to Billick's breakdown. Some of the numbers in the first half and some of the numbers to pay attention to here in the third quarter.
Well, third down, you got to convert on third down to stay current. And this number here, you can see scoring the third quarter. San Francisco's been outscored 17-62 in the third quarter thus far this season. Green Bay has outscored its opponents 72-23. That time of possession. So what has to happen? San Francisco's got to get a fast start. They've got to convert on third down. And both teams, particularly Green Bay, possessions has got to equal points. You can't just go down the field and come away with nothing.
Yeah, you still look back to that first and goal from the 2-yard line. They ran it, got stuffed, and then threw it on both second and third downs as that ball drops, and luckily for Green Bay, right into the midst of James Starks. That had potential disaster written all over it.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see exactly what Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers want to do. They're going to be probably forced to drop the ball underneath like they've had. The one big play, as we saw, came after a defensive offside, so it was a freebie. They got the one-on-one matchup. I don't think Greg Minuski and the San Francisco 49ers are going to configure themselves to give them too many of those big plays. They're going to make them go the length of the field.
All right, here we go. Starks Making his NFL debut as a ball carrier here today. That is his 7th carry. And he's rushed for 28 yards. And bear in mind, the Green Bay running backs last week in Atlanta, a game total of 26 rushing yards.
Well, you can see here the disproportionate. You can dismiss the 3rd down conversions out of this because that's typically throws. But that disproportion, again, in this game, will it make a difference? We'll find out. But going down the rest of the month with the caliber of teams they're playing, it will.
Rodgers rolling, he'll keep it. And jukes his way to a 1st down. He slipped right past Nate Clements.
Again, you're seeing the athleticism of Aaron Rodgers. You're going to see again the defense getting collapsed. He takes the inside rush. Brooks goes that far inside. You've got to contain on an athletic quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. We saw last week against Atlanta where he converted a couple 3rd downs with his legs. This guy's a good athlete. Keep him in the pocket. He can beat you there too. But on a play like that, you let him get outside. What worse happens is you give him a free throw down the field as you start to react to him running around.
1st down at the 45. And Rodgers to throw it. Pocket collapses and he's able to get it away. Drops it off to Kuhn. And he's able to pick up positive yards, about 4.
Again, Aaron Rodgers fell in the draft because people said he wasn't athletic enough. Watch this. Great pocket presence. Steps up, knows where the rush. Look at the way he protects the ball as he comes through it. That's where quarterbacks typically will get the ball turned over. He had both hands on the ball, saw a chance to get it out late. Good pocket presence by Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you don't need to remind 49er fans about the decision to bypass the local kid. Aaron Rodgers, there's a flag down on the play. It starts, carries to the 47-yard line. But of course, that debate is always brought up when these two teams get together, as they did last year.
86 offense. Penalties declined. 4th down.
I think that's incorrect what the official just said.
2nd down.
Yeah, it is. Still 2nd down. Penalty will be enforced, but the decision by the 49ers, and it's interesting to note that Mike McCarthy was on the 49ers staff when San Francisco chose Alex Smith out of Utah rather than Aaron Rodgers out of Cal.
And he said one of the first things he had to do when he came to Green Bay as the head coach was sit down with Aaron Rodgers and say, this is why we did that. And in fairness to the 49ers, Aaron Rodgers was not rated that close to Alex Smith with the rest of the league. He fell to 24, but not from number 2. He fell from 10, 11, and 12 to 24. Looks like some pressure. Aaron Rodgers accounting. Looks like we're going to get some pressure on the inside by the 49ers.
Good protection. Wide open is Donald Driver. And he pitches it all, gets away, and is into the end zone. A touchdown for Driver.
Here comes another Lambo. That looked like one of those plays out of the vintage 1929 film. Guys bouncing off one another.
61 yards.
He's wearing the right uniform for it. The 49ers knew when they pressured, they would be a little vulnerable. Aaron Rodgers, one of the top quarterbacks in the league versus pressure. You bring pressure, you better get home, or Aaron Rodgers is going to make you pay.
How about that? Point after is good to make it a 21-13 game. It's been a tough year for Donald Driver. Their 3-time Pro Bowler, through injuries and all, finds the end zone.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. By GMC, it's the GMC holiday event. Get the job done right this season with a GMC Sierra. And by Pizza Hut, your favorite plays deserve your favorite pizza. Your favorites, your Pizza Hut.
Donald Driver with his 4th touchdown reception of the year. A 21-13 Green Bay lead as San Francisco will get the ball for the first time here in the second half. They are staying away from Ted Ginn Jr. That's pretty evident. He'll field it on one bounce. And Ginn crosses a 30 up to the 32-yard line.
Well, let's look at the anatomy of a touchdown play. It starts with Aaron Rodgers. First, you're going to see as they step up. Stop right here. He knows what's going on. He's getting some form of pressure, so he's going to make the adjustment. Knows exactly where he wants to go to. He's telling the offensive line where to go. He knows now he's going to see some kind of zone coverage in behind it, even if it's a 5-man rush. Now what happens, here comes Golston. He gets caught in a zone coverage. There's a hole in that zone when you bring 5 men on the rush. Aaron Rodgers took advantage of it for the score.
First down carry to Anthony Dixon. He picks up 4 up to the 35-yard line. Now we'll see if San Francisco can withstand that punch.
Well, we talk about it all the time, Tom, that body blow after body blow. We said that San Francisco had to start fast. We put up the numbers talking about how lopsided it is for the opponents of the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers scoring 73 points to their opponents 23 in the third quarter because it starts like that.
No room this time for Dixon. Clay Matthews along with Desmond Bishop there to meet him.
All right, now we're back to again, 3rd and down. When we visit with Dom Capers, he says it's all about the 3rd and 1 to 6 when you face the San Francisco 49ers, because they do run the ball well. This is a convertible 3rd down. This is not a 3rd and long. Troy Smith's got to do it either with an accurate throw or maybe even with his legs.
Blitz coming. Smith to a wide open Vernon Davis. And he leaps past midfield, is chopped down at the 45-yard line, and they convert on 3rd down.
Same thing we just saw by Green Bay. We saw pressure by the front 4 or the front 7 in this instance. Troy Smith staying in the pocket. They had to play zone behind it and found an open Vernon Davis. You can see here, this is the same thing we just saw. Watch them dancing around. Here comes the pressure on the inside. They're moving Clay Matthews. They bring a good solid rush, and the quarterback finds Vernon Davis for the first down.
Dixon bounces off a couple of tackles and slips his way down to the 41-yard line.
The thing we're missing so far, Tom, that I'd like to see more of when you have a Frank Gore go down. Well, Brian Westbrook come in and he can pick up the rushing snaps. The problem is Gore is the leading receiver. But you know what? Brian Westbrook's pretty good at catching the ball. In 2007, he had 90 receptions. They should look to maybe get Westbrook a little involved in the passing game.
He has 5 catches this entire year. Short drop. They get it to Delaney Walker. He has a first down. And he's out of bounds at the Green Bay 27-yard line.
Here they just simply stack Delaney Walker on top of Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis goes deeper, so it's a quick outlet. I tell you what, I've not seen a lot of Delaney Walker for a 250-pound man. We already talked about it. He returns kick. This is a pretty nifty athlete for 250 pounds. We said possession has to equal points. They desperately need to keep up here with a touchdown, Tom.
First down, they pitch it to Dixon. Looking for a block. He has a first down and then some to the 10-yard line. Morin Norris led the way. Morin Norris has been doing that for a long, long time.
Well, you talk about 10th year in the league. When you're a fullback and you take the punishing that you do as a fullback to last 10 years, that says a lot about that young man.
They come the other way on the pitch to Dixon. And good hard running to the 5. For those of you curious, he used to have his name pronounced Moran Norris, and this year is asked it's Moran Norris.
Well, yeah, it goes.
Want to get it right.
That goes back to the old George Carlin. You can spell your name S-M-I-T-H and pronounce it Janowski if you want to. So whatever way he wants to call it, that's what we're going with. They're spreading this thing out. I'm still not sure we won't get a little trap or a draw here. A lot of bodies up in there.
2nd and goal. And Westbrook just nowhere to go. 3rd and goal.
Yeah, the Packers were having none of that. The 49ers have been pounding the ball. They spread it out, trying to convince them they were going to throw the ball down the field. I don't know that you're going to put the ball in the hands of Troy Smith in that situation. Packers all over that, kept the box firm to stop the run.
All right, what are you going to do now if you're San Francisco?
You probably need to get Troy Smith outside the edge, either with a play fake or rolling to one side or the other. Let him throw what he sees rather than trying to make that subtle nuance of a throw.
You called it. They roll him out to the right, and he misses badly on the attempt to Crabtree. Wait a minute now. Field goal unit coming out. The officials started to convene, and they quickly break up. No flag on the play, so a field goal attempt upcoming for Reed, who is 2 for 2 in his first game today as a 49er after being signed 2 days ago. Reed won a pair of Super Bowl rings with the Steelers. Only missed 4 field goals all of last year. But he missed all 4 attempts between 40 and 49 yards this year, including 2 in a loss to Baltimore. And they cut him loose at 3 of 3 today. Pretty good answer right there. They wanted clearly 6, but they come away with 3 after the Green Bay 61-yard touchdown throw to Donald Driver, and it's a 5-point game.
Well, in 10 plays, the 49ers here have shown they can make the big play. We've seen big plays down the field, a couple to Vernon Davis, but also to be able to orchestrate a drive with that balance of the run and the pass that we keep talking about.
So Reed approaching. Fielded at the 28-yard line, and then cutting it back across the 40 as James Starks, and is tackled at the 45. Great field position for Rodgers in the Packers offense. '49ers on defense, trailing 21-16. And Aaron Rodgers will hand it to Starks. And he is met by Deshaun Goldson after a 4-yard pickup.
I want to do a Billick one-on-one for you here, Tom, because Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, their passing game's based on 3 things. One is spacing. They get that done by personnel and formations. Then it's timing, both the deep and the intermediate to the drop-off routes underneath, and then accuracy. That's what it's about in the NFL right now, the ability to put the ball not only where it belongs, but to give the ball carrier a chance to get yards after the catch. It's classic Bill Walsh football.
Play action fake. And Rodgers is looking for Jennings and found him.
Wow, what a great throw, what a great catch. Spacing, timing, and accuracy. Get the field stretched out. You're going to see Jennings all the way down the field. Aaron Rodgers buys time with the play fake, a little double move, gets you the spacing, the timing for him, and then the accuracy. Can you make a more accurate throw down the field than that?
First and goal of the 3. They're going to throw it. And Rodgers lost his footing. He was in heavy trouble anyway, being chased by Brooks.
And that's tough going to the left as a quarterback. A little slippery down there. We've seen a couple guys go down, Tom, but he had no chance as he goes to the left. Always tough on a quarterback. Fullback didn't get the block, or the running back didn't get the block on the edge. He was trying to get outside the edge and throw the ball to the back of the end zone. Now they've backed themselves up.
2nd and goal.
Spacing. Let's see if they get the timing and accuracy.
Rodgers escapes trouble. Still on his feet. And dropped at the 2 by Reggie Smith. He just avoided a major hit.
Now, I want you to watch Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead and let it run here. And right at the top, I want you to watch his instincts. Right here, he knows he's going to climb. Stop right there. Look at the way he tucked the ball away right in there. Put it into the body. He's not going to risk the turnover. We've seen how efficient he is in the red zone. This is as complete a quarterback as there is in the NFL right now, doing all the little things.
All right, well, they run it 3rd and goal from just outside the 1. Nope.
Your favorite play.
No, that's not a jump ball. That's a touchdown.
Your favorite play. Only fitting that Greg Jennings gets to have that touchdown. He was waiting for the DB was waiting for a quicker move. Aaron Rodgers putting it up nice and tight. Look at the DB at the top. He looked like he was playing for the possible inside. Just that stutter step. He jammed, was going to cut off the slant. Jennings in the back of the end zone. Beautiful. What do we say? Spacing, timing. That's all timing right there. Beautiful play. Your favorite play in football.
That is not the play we're talking about. Come on, there's a point after. I'm talking about that thing where they throw it in the air and it's like a jump ball.
Either way.
You could have caught that pass.
Maybe. Either way, it's a touchdown.
But you were a good receiver. Didn't take long, 3 minutes and 2 seconds, thanks in large part to the 48-yard completion to Jennings, who caps it off with a 1-yard touchdown. 3 TDs thrown today by Aaron Rodgers. 13th time he's done that in a game in his career. There'll be a lot more where that came from. So again goes all the way back to the 4 and runs into his own man and falls forward to the 27. Well, we don't know if he's the best, but he's undoubtedly the hottest receiver right now is Greg Jennings in the NFL. Last 7 games, a whopping 43 receptions, 8 touchdowns. That's doing it, man. Again, can San Francisco get off the map? Long way to go in this one. Troy Smith looking down the field as a receiver, wide open Vernon Davis. And he finds him, and it's jarred loose. What a play made by Tramon Williams.
Spacing, timing, and accuracy, Tom. They had the spacing. He got outside the coverage. Timing is what was just late enough. Should have been caught. A little bit late by Troy Smith. Accuracy couldn't have been much better.
Well, you can't lay it in there any better than that. And Davis just whiffed.
And they needed that desperately. Now you can't let that force you into a bad throw down the field now. Not at 2nd and 10. Get yourself a first down. Start a new drive.
Short drop. That one not where Walker could have done much with it had he caught it. 3rd and 10.
And that's the subtlety of the accuracy I'm talking about with a quarterback like Troy Smith, Tom, in that this guy's a good young man. He's very smart. He's very athletic. But that accuracy, you hear it all the time coming from the college game to the pro game. The windows are much smaller. What do we say? You've got to give the receiver a chance to catch it and run. He can't turn back, reach down low. It's that little bit of accuracy right now that's missing from Troy Smith's game.
Of course, that throw to Davis a minute ago is pretty good.
Pretty accurate.
Fake the handoff on 3rd down and wide open down the sideline. And is he inbounds? Ted Ginn Jr. They're saying no.
All right, this may warrant looking at. I'm not sure. Watch here now. Does he get the feet? And he clearly had control. Does that left foot come down? Now does the right foot come down? Nope, clearly out of bounds. Good call by the official on it. Had control through the catch. Just couldn't. Just 6 inches, Tom. It's a game of inches. He couldn't have been 6 inches from getting that foot in.
It really is amazing. I mean, you hear people say it, and it sounds like coach speak, Brian. A lot of us, or at least I do, roll my eyes when I hear it all the time. But you look at this series, A drop ball by Davis, and then that play right there. Either one goes the 49ers way, and things look a little bit different right now. Instead, it's Tramon Williams. Tackled to the 43-yard line. Spillman just able to trip him up. Well, Brian Billick, you're a big NASCAR guy, and the season may be over, but Fox is already revving up for another exciting year. Begins February, the running of the Great American Race live from the Daytona International Speedway. The Daytona 500 February only on Fox.
Yeah, I'm such a big NASCAR guy. I drove in here from Minneapolis. That was a fun 5-hour drive, I tell you. But I did not exceed the speed limit.
I know you would. Starks to the 39.
You know, we talk about the ability of the Packers to run the ball or not run the ball. This is the point in the game. 2:50 in the third quarter. You've had a couple big plays. You're up by 12 points. You'd love to just pound away. You'd love to orchestrate a 6, 7, 8 play drive, run it on first, run on second, convert on third if you have to. That's the thing that Mike McCarthy would love to do right now.
You look freezing.
Jordy Nelson isolated with Nate Clements, very close to another first down.
And Aaron Rodgers, in talking with him, he said he went back to a book that he had read by Bill Walsh talking about, and Bill Walsh was fanatic about the accuracy. I see Bill Walsh at practice. Joe Montana throw a ball out to the flat to a back. Looked like a good ball, caught right in the hands, and Bill would get all over. No, I want it a half a foot in front. I want it to hit that lead glove, that lead hand. He was phobic about accuracy, and Aaron Rodgers understands the importance of it.
Of course, Bill Walsh, the legendary head coach of the San Francisco 49ers for so many years, and there may be some back in the Bay Area, Brian, that don't realize how close you were to Bill Walsh.
Well, Bill Walsh was a real mentor. Brought me into the organization administratively early on in his first 2 years there. I left there to go back into coaching, and then later on connected with Bill when he approached me and said, look, I'd like to put a book together on the profession. Would you like to do it with me? I think, do you want to sit with Bill Walsh for an entire offseason, talk football? Yeah, I think I'd like to do that.
Pretty nifty footwork there by Brandon Jackson. And he's close to another first down, depending on the spot. Needed to get just inside the 23.
Nice job. Just again, this is their extended, what we used to call exos, extended handoffs. This is the same as handing off a draw. This is what the Packer offense is about right now. And let's keep in mind now, over the last couple of years, teams like Indianapolis, San Diego, Arizona with Kurt Warner, they've gone on a pretty good run here without, they were 30th, 31st, 32nd in the league in rushing. I don't know if that's going to play out this year because I think you have to have more balance, but this Packer team's good enough to do it the way they're doing now.
Turn on third and the yard, converts.
Now right now, I started out this game talking about the offensive line. You need to establish itself, Tom. This is that area where they need to step up. You want to run the ball better? We can talk about the running back and losing Ryan Grant, but this offensive line has to take ownership of it.
To the end of the third quarter. 28-16 Green Bay, and Fox NFL Sunday continues after a break from your local Fox station. Brian, you brought up before the third quarter started, it's been a quarter dominated by Green Bay all year long and a real downer quarter for the 49ers all year, and today no different. So we begin the fourth, 28-16 Green Bay, and looking for more at the San Francisco 20. Brandon Jackson tackled by Takeo Spikes.
Right now, Aaron Rodgers is playing that game. They want to run the ball. That was a checked play. 49ers giving them a defense that allowed them to get back into it. I can see Green Bay also expanding on their check system. Have a run, check to a run. Stay with the run, maybe go strong, maybe go weak, go inside, go outside, but kill your one run to the other. Get those runs generated in your offense.
Third down. Been back and forth all day long, and the motor's shitty. 8:39 to go, and the Bears with a 4-point lead over the Lions. I don't think Mike McCarthy's looking up to the scoreboard for that score, but he might like to know it.
Yeah, and you know what? You say you don't, but you got to be. Particularly here, these scoreboards, they got the scores everywhere. It's hard not to take notice of it sometimes.
Rodgers sacked. Travis LeBoy, Bay Area product from Marin Catholic High School.
Nice pressure coming from the outside with Brooks and LeBoy. LeBoy, a first-round draft choice. This is good pressure by a four-man rush. Contained on the edges, put pressure up the middle. Aaron Rodgers didn't have any way to go. Look how quickly he pulls the back in. He wasn't going to get the ball turned over and take 3 points off the board.
43-yard field goal attempt now from Mason Crosby. And he missed a short one early and drills this one through the uprights to make it a 31-16 lead.
Today's game is sponsored by the Ford F-150 and its 4 new engines. This is the future of truck. By Domino's, oh yes we did. And by K Jewelers, the #1 jewelry store in America. Every kiss begins with K.
Brian Billick had his headgear out earlier.
Where was that hat? Why? I want a hat like that.
They were selling those outside of a local establishment just yesterday.
That'll be big on the Chesapeake. It's hunting season. I may not be here next week. I take that thing home.
31-16, and San Francisco needing to kick it into gear. And Ted Ginn Jr. has a different gear, and he's out close to midfield on the return. We're going to figure out which one Brian Billick should take home later. Look at that one.
There you go.
It's a good look. That's not. Take a look at the leaders offensively. Troy Smith, just 7 out of 17, 171 yards, and a long touchdown to Vernon Davis. There's a big drop on that last San Francisco possession by Davis. It would have put the ball inside the 20-yard line.
You know, in San Francisco, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place. Troy Smith really is at his best when you spread it out. They've had success putting the 2 tight ends into 2 backs, but now with this score differential, we may see them spread it out a little bit, and that's something Troy Smith's very comfortable with. Takes him back to his Ohio State days.
Smith gets it away. It's caught by Dixon. He loses his footing as he tries to cut it back up the field. Matthews, for the first time today, creating some problems for Troy Smith.
Just coming off the edge against the rookie Davis. He's not a rookie anymore, not this late in the season. Pretty good job. Troy Smith stepping up in the pocket, but nice job by the rookie tackle holding off Clay Matthews right now. One of the best rushmen in the National Football League.
Been quiet for a couple of weeks, been playing with a very tender shin after missing a game with a hamstring. Smith will not escape trouble this time. Well, you thinking about going for it here, Brian, with 12 minutes left?
Yeah, you know, as good as obviously you can see Smith stepping up in the pocket, coming off that edge again, putting pressure, shoving the tackle back into it, blocking off the view, then that naturally gets that inside rush. He's looking to the right, doesn't feel the rush coming off the left side.
Zombo with that Zorro. Move right there following the sack of Smith. Andy Lee upset with himself for punting that one into the end zone.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Windows 7.
Green Bay with the football and a 31-16 lead. I think we're going to see a whole steady diet of James Starks here in the fourth quarter, perhaps Brian Billick to maybe find out what they have in this rookie out of Buffalo.
Yeah, and they had the right front to get it done.
Well, while we have a moment, let's check in with Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles for a game break.
You were talking earlier about Mike McCarthy's scoreboard watching. He'll see the first place Bears get a touchdown. Brandon Manu Maliuna, his first touchdown reception in 2 years, put the Bears on top of the Lions with 3 minutes left, 24-20. Tom and Brian.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that one. I know you will for us as well. Kurt Menefee back in Los Angeles. The 11 minutes to play. And Starks into the secondary, still on his feet. Up to the 47-yard line. He ran right through Patrick Willis.
Nice job. Just a simple strong side zone play coming off the edge. We got a 6-man box, which means the number count favors the Green Bay Packers. I'm a little surprised San Francisco isn't trying to come down in here and build the box a little bit more. You can see this is the upright running style I mentioned. Doesn't mean he can't be a good back. You'd like to see him carry his pads a little lower, if for no other reason, just to stay healthy.
Turn the up back. Stopped by Spikes after a 3-yard gain. Another big day offensively for the Green Bay Packers. They've racked up nearly 370 yards of offense. Most of it through the air, although Starks, after that 16-yard run, is averaging almost 5 yards a carry. And Jennings, another monster game.
Well, you got the sense from Mike McCarthy they were very hopeful that James Starks could be that spark for them, a guy that you could give the ball to maybe 20 times a game and get some proven productivity out of that running game. They're configured to keep running the ball right here.
I can't begin to tell you how impressive Starks was. And the games that we saw him at Buffalo, Brian, it's when the Big Ten Network was cranking up and he was going up against guys like Wisconsin and guys like Iowa and very good defenses, and obviously they were huge underdogs, but he stood out. Good looking player.
Well, they need him desperately. Has a nice changeup with Brandon Jackson, John Kuhn for the tough inside yardage. They've got the personnel. I keep coming back to the offensive line. You've got to be able to establish with that offensive line. They've got to take responsibility to a degree to get better in the running attack.
Third down, blitz coming. And nothing but green in front of him. And he slides his way to a first down.
We saw this a couple times here. Obviously he converted there, but this is everything you look at Aaron Rodgers, it just keeps stacking up over and over and over again as to being a great quarterback. When you have the kind of efficiency he doesn't make mistakes, as you can see here, doesn't throw interceptions, doesn't fumble the ball. He's a complete quarterback.
I mean, you took for granted that He had not fumbled the entire year until the game we had him last week, where he fumbled at the 1-yard line.
And made the difference in a 3-point game. But give Atlanta credit now that the ball came out to the 20. They marched the length of the field and scored with it as well. But you're right, had he been able to hold on to that, what would have happened with that game?
Well, you know, you take a look at the NFC and all of the teams that are, you know, involved in the playoff hunt. Packers are one of 4 NFC teams with 4 losses. They're joined by Philadelphia, the New York Giants, and Tampa Bay. You have Atlanta with the best record in the conference at 9-2, followed by Chicago with 3 losses. So, you know, Brian, someone's going to win the NFC West. Might be the Niners, might be St. Louis, might be Seattle.
Let me ask you this, because I've had this conversation. Should the league think about reseeding the playoff picture? It will be criminal to have a 11-5 Green Bay Packer team, maybe even a 12-4 team, have to go to the NFC West winner at, God forbid, 7-9, 8-8. For competitive balance, do you maybe reseed the playoffs once you get the 6 teams?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think this is obviously going to end up being a year where we're going to see something happen that we rarely ever see happen. We'll get back to all this in a minute. So to overhaul the whole thing based on 1 year, we'll talk about it in a minute. .6:45 to play. Green Bay with a first down at the San Francisco 38-yard line. Brandon Jackson for a gain of 5. All right, let's take a look at the playoff picture here with a month to go in the season. You see the division leaders. We know about Atlanta, Chicago, 1 game better than Green Bay, Philadelphia. Although the Giants will go to 8-4 today. And then St. Louis, all right? Wild card leaders right now, you saw them. New Orleans and the Giants. In the hunt, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and we include Seattle and San Francisco because they're still within striking distance of winning a divisional championship. And you brought up the question, Brian Billick, about should the NFL look into changing the rules in terms of reseeding before the playoffs begin, rather than giving a team, say this year from the NFC West, a home game.
And it has been discussed. The argument against it is you don't want to diminish the value of the divisions. And I understand that. There needs to be the rivalry. You play twice within the division. But let's take the NFC West. Someone's going to come out of that, God forbid, 7-9, 8-8. All right, you've gotten your advantage. By being in a poor division, you've gotten the advantage. You've maintained the division integrity. You get to go to the playoffs. But why should a 12-4 whomever go to an 8-8 winner of division just because it's a bad division? You'll also increase the chances of people not sitting down at week 16, 17 because of the possible seeding. I think there's some positive byproducts here.
Catch made on the far side of the field by James Jones.
Tackled by Willis.
And that's another first down.
Of course, if this were the NCAA, it'd be real simple. The NFC West, you're not bowl eligible. I'm sorry,
right.
We're just going to take one of these other teams. In the way it's gone down, I know it's been discussed in the league before. I don't know if it'll pick up impetus in the offseason. Believe me, if a 7-9 NFC West team gets into the playoffs, that conversation will go on heatedly in the offseason.
Will they invite you in to
probably
make your pitch?
They didn't listen to me before when I was sitting there. I don't know why they'd listen to me now.
Starks. Run out of bounds by Goldson. Clock stops, 4:25 to go. Still a tight one in Detroit. At last check, a 4-point lead for the Bears. Green Bay will play Chicago, the final game of the regular season, here at Lambeau Field.
And both got some pretty good obstacles. Chicago still has New England and the Jets to play. Green Bay has New England and the Giants to play. So, and then they play each other the last game of the season. NFL brilliantly putting all those divisional games in the last weekend.
And you just saw it as a final now. from Detroit, the Bears winners. So they will maintain a one-game lead in the NFC North. Some of the numbers early talked about the Giants just blasting Washington, and there's that Chicago win. Cincinnati and New Orleans in a tie. That's a huge game for New Orleans.
Yes, it is.
Huge game for New Orleans. And how about Kansas City? Only a 4-point lead over Denver. Meanwhile, Tavares Jackson replaces the injured Brett Favre and has led Minnesota to 38 points today.
Another freebie.
And nearly intercepted back by Phillips Adams.
Looks like defense was offsides again. We're going to turn this.
Offsides, 99 defense, 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Turns a 3rd and 6 into a 3rd and 1 now. Let's see if Green Bay, up here comes that triple backfield. No, they're sending in the other tight ends as well. This big backfield, see if we can shove the ball up here for a first down.
Brian, you were the man that talked Mike Singletary, or at least you were part of the conversation. You offered him a job after he had stepped away from playing. He wanted to raise his family. And once his family had grown up, you were the man that offered him a chance to get into coaching with the Baltimore Ravens. It's been a tough year for Mike. They went 8-8 last year. They won 5 of 9 when he took over midway through the 2008 season. A loss today sends them to 4-8 as they convert on that carry by John Kuhn. Hard-nosed running there to get that first down. But you know, for Mike Singletary, is it hard selling your team on the idea that you're 4-8 potentially if you lose here today, but you're still in a divisional race?
No, not when you're just one game back. We said it all along. Doesn't matter. It's all about the wins and losses. It's all about, can you get to the playoffs? Well, we're in a division that says we can be 4-7 and be only one game back. Players will hold on to hope for as long as you want to give them that option. Mike Singletary, the passion. You can see here, the great thing is they still have the division to go through. We're going to be in that Seattle and San Francisco next week for the Seattle game. They got St. Louis and Arizona. As odd as it sounds, they can still be a factor here, and you hold on to that for as long as you possibly can.
They'll be getting after it next week in San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, like I said many times, God bless the NFC West. You know, it's a great American story.
It is.
It is, yeah. Because you could really be bad and still be successful. Look at Wall Street. They're handing out bonuses like lollipops.
Well, on that note, let's send it back to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles for a game break.
All the Bengals trying to end that 8-game losing streak, down 8 in the 4th quarter, but Cedric Benson scores the touchdown, and because they missed an extra point, they go for 2. They get it. Tying the game at 27. Time permitting, we'll take you out for the finish of that one. 27 all, Saints and Bengals. Tom and Brian.
It's been a very difficult year for Carson Palmer and the Bengals. Divisional champions a year ago, and they've lost 8 in a row, trying to change that right now.
You know, we talk about this Packer team. You and I did that New Orleans game. That's a good-looking team. If that should go a certain way, you're going to see a darn good football team, whether it be a Philadelphia Eagles, the New York Giants, the Green Bay Packers, maybe those New Orleans Saints sitting home and not going to playoffs. That says a lot where we are as a league. That's an awful good football team. Then to see, again, an 8-8 NFC West team going into the playoffs.
Alert, Scott.
Play action. They lay it off to Quarles. And he is pushed out of bounds. That's the 7-yard line. All right, what about Green Bay the rest of the way? They go on the road at Detroit.
Yeah.
They go on the road. Figures to be bad weather in New England. And then the final 2 of the year, late December, early January, against the Giants and the Bears.
Yeah, and you look at that, and that looks like a lot of uphill climbing. But as we said earlier, Chicago has New England at Minnesota, then plays the Jets at home before the Green Bay Packers. They play the Green Bay Packers up here. So both are going to be right there. It just begins in the month of December. The dash for the cash.
And Rodgers wants timeout.
Well, Aaron Rodgers finishing out here. This is the way they wanted to finish. They wanted to run the ball. The classic 4-minute offense, pushing away San Francisco, looking for any answer it can get.
Well, you know, Brian, you take a look here. I think we all agree, and you could say it about a number of teams. The Green Bay Packers can beat anybody, anywhere, at any time. It's just a matter of, as you pointed out a moment ago when we looked inside the NFC playoff picture, here with 4 weeks to go after the conclusion of play this weekend, are they going to have enough wins to get in?
Well, it's going to come down to that last wire, and that's just what the league wanted. No one's going to be sitting down in week 16 and 17, and that's a good thing. As I said, there are going to be some pretty good teams sitting at home, and also the home field advantage. You're right. The Green Bay Packers we've seen are as good as anybody in this league, but there is so much balance around the league right now. It is going to go down to the end.
All 4 of Green Bay's losses this year by a field goal, 2 of them in overtime. Donald Driver tackled by Phillip Adams. And the field goal unit will come out.
You know, a team we haven't even mentioned in that process is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How impressive have they been in the run that they're making here? Got a big game with Atlanta that follows us after this game. Tell you what, the NFC, great balance. The AFC the same way. Got some great games coming up on the AFC. Something about the West. The AFC West is no better than the NFC West.
Although San Diego's coming on strong.
Yes, they are.
Again.
They're a scary football team.
Hey, what about your old team now, before we get to this field goal? The Ravens and the Steelers. Can you talk about that rivalry?
I tell you what, and I'm biased because I was a part of it for 9 years, but I don't think there's a more physical, more intense rivalry. These guys, the old yell, they don't like one another. They respect the heck out of one another. You need to go see one of these games because it is a knockdown, drag-out fight.
24-yard field goal try by Mason Crosby. And it is good. So that'll make it a 34-16 spread. Brian, we've talked so much about hats, and you came on the air today wearing that hat. Well, we found one just for you.
That's my new hat.
Here it is right here.
It's a green meanie.
That's the Grinch. You gonna put that on?
Sure.
Let's take a look here.
Okay, right. How's this fit?
Take a look. See, make sure we get the.
Is that a good look? This is when the score is 34-16. This is what your career goes to. I used to be somebody. I got one of those. I got one of those this summer in Europe. My wife and I, a guy comes up and goes, "Didn't you used to be Brian Billick?" I go, "Well, evidently I did."
I like the story better. Maybe you can share it with some of our audience about when you were at the U.S. Open in September.
Oh, God. I was up in the cheap seats. My wife and my daughter the good seats. I couldn't get an extra ticket. I'm up there with the beer drinkers and some guy at the top said, "Hey, what's the matter? Steve Bisciotti done paying you? You got to sit up here with us?" But he did buy me a beer. I did get a free beer out of it.
Well, you're a very, very good sport. There aren't a lot of former Super Bowl winning head coaches that are going to go down there in the stands and put on hats like we were wearing earlier
That's
today.
Another thing. You know, I'm still a Super Bowl winning coach. There's nothing former about it. They didn't take it away from me.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. There aren't many Super Bowl winning coaches,
there you go.
whether they be still head coaches.
Those aren't time dated. They don't disappear after a period of time.
You're right. I beg your pardon. But you have been a great sport.
Well, how can you not in this atmosphere? We talked about before, Tom, when we did a game up here earlier, whether it's a Daytona 500, whether it's a Kentucky Derby, whether it's going to a Super Bowl. If you haven't come, if you consider yourself a football fan, you got to come up to Lambeau Field. You got to come up to Green Bay.
Now, that chant you just heard, where they play that and then they respond with "Go Pack Go." This is no kidding. On a Saturday night, the night before the game, you can go into any number of restaurants, establishments, and the night will be going on, and then all of a sudden you'll hear that music strike up.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody in the room will start go, Pack, go.
And as a member of the Minnesota Vikings for 8 years and having to come here every year, I got to tell you, it just irritates the hell out of you. Because you stay down in Appleton and it's all over the place. I miss the games in Milwaukee. Those were fun. When you were side by side with the two teams.
Yeah, that was something, wasn't it?
That was an amazing thing to do. I got to tell you a story about that in a second.
Roy Smith been under heavy pressure all day today. Fires that one down the field, incomplete. So what about Milwaukee? That was at Old County Stadium.
Oh yeah, and you're standing. Both teams are on the same sideline. For those who don't remember, and I'm the coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm standing as close to Mike Holmgren as you and I are standing together one another. I call a screen down on the 10-yard line. Mike Holmgren looks at me and goes, "Really? A screen now?" I panic. I call timeout. I go, "You wouldn't do that?" He goes, "Not down here."
That's great.
Those were great times.
Well, you guys could score some points now.
Oh, I had a great group, boy. I just stayed out of their way, and that was the secret with that group.
Catch made by Davis, the first down up to the 45.
Well, Green Bay can feel good about this. I tell you what, as a coach, Mike McCarthy, his ability to get on his guys. Now, anytime you can win a game and still get on your guys, that's a good teaching moment. Because they started out slow. They really weren't emotionally into it. And they've rebounded. They've played very, very well. They're going on the road to Detroit next week. Probably kind of the same atmosphere. You can't underestimate any opponent in the National Football League.
Flag down and pass is incomplete.
Smith's pass incomplete to Ginn. Shields on the coverage.
Illegal formation. Number 76 was not on the line of scrimmage. Penalties declined. Second down.
.211 to go, and Vernon Davis limping around on the sideline a little bit. He has 4 catches for 126 yards in the game today. Today's game being produced by Bob Stenner and directed by Rich Dewey. Our technical producer is Bob Muller. And our technical director is Glenn Wilhelm. Our associate director Wayne Wilson, and our broadcast associate Bill Cullen. That one is incomplete. Clock stops at 2:04.
By Williams.
Up here in the booth, we thank Tom Barbary, our statistician, our spotter Scott Snyder, our studio show produced by Scott Ackerson. Studio technical supervisor is Jack Simmons, and the supervisor of remote field operations is Jerry Steinberg. And as always, we thank the PR directors from both teams. Bob Lang of the 49ers and our good buddy Jeff Blum here in Green Bay.
Does a great job.
Yep.
Does a great job with everything that they do, from the media book that they hand out to the hospitality they provide us when we come in and visit with the players.
Pass incomplete. And that brings us to the 2-minute warning. Packers will go to 8-4 when all is said and done. Fourth down and 10 for the 49ers. Trailing 34-16. Smith will run it, and he will get the first down to the 40-yard line. Cullen Jenkins had to limp off the field a moment ago, and he's on his way, it appears, back to the locker room. He's been playing with an injured calf for the better part of 3 weeks.
Yeah, you watch him get down. He just gets down in his stance, comes straight up. This is not, pushes off it right there. Looks back like he stepped in a hole or something. Just stretch that calf again. Boy, you hope that doesn't linger. It's one of those injuries that just keeps hanging around and all of a sudden reaches up and grabs you.
Smith sacked for the 4th time today. This one by B.J. Raji. Another big day for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, look at that efficiency. 21 of 30. Wow.
And again, his favorite target is Greg Jennings. Green Bay's run it much better today. 138 rushing yards. Smith. Is that intercepted? Flag down on the play. Nick Collins came up with a football, and again we wait on the flag.
Illegal formation. Offense. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage. Penalties decline. First down.
Well, the Packers now can come up and get in that favorite formation, victory formation, no timeouts by the 49ers. Just a great job getting his hands underneath it. Looks like he had it all the way, scooped it underneath. Packers now can get into that victory formation and finish out the clock.
Well, the only safety in the NFL with more interceptions over the last 3 years than Nick Collins. Played safety for you in Baltimore, Ed Reed. Matt Flynn finish things up at quarterback, replacing Aaron Rodgers.
And this this is a booth replay
with under 2 minutes.
And we got time here. I'll get on my soapbox again, or I won't, because it sounds like we're going to go to a commercial.
The soapbox is standing by.
It's ready to go. Let's sell something first.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
Let's quickly go to Los Angeles and check in with Kurt Menefee.
All right, down 3. The Saints line up on 4th and 2 and draw the Bengals offside with 34 seconds left. Can you believe that? Next play, Drew Brees to Marcus Colston, and they take the lead 34-30. A huge mistake by the Bengals. Ron and John, pardon me, Tom and Brian.
There's a reason why you've lost 8 in a row.
Yeah, mistakes like that. Boy.
So Green Bay will run off the final minute.
And we said it all game long. A 4-8 San Francisco team is not out of it, but that is a tougher sell now to hold your troops together. Notwithstanding how the other games go with Seattle and St. Louis, but this is a tough sell for Mike Singletary and the 49ers. But we're going to see them next week, and they have a chance to impact the division, see if they can crawl back into it.
Did you want to jump on a soapbox very quickly before we get out of here today?
Just about the replay. Let's get rid of the peep show on the sideline. Let's just go with the booth replays the whole way. We don't even have to include the official going to the sideline. We got the technology now. Let's just make it free flowing, and I'll just have that other set of eyes up in the booth.
Well, Brian Billick, we're going to get down to the final 4 weeks of the season, and the race for the playoffs in the NFC is really going to be something to watch. You and I will see the 49ers next weekend out in San Francisco against Seattle.
And again, notwithstanding how those games go, it can be for the division, and that's all you hope for. You keep, you don't give up hope until it's absolutely gone.
All right, 34-16 our final. We go to the AT&T game break. And momentarily standing by is Kurt Menefee in our Fox Network Center. So 34-16 our final. We understand the guys are ready to roll back in Los Angeles. For Brian, I'm Tom. We'll see you next week.